I get asked so many questions about homeschooling because I have been homeschooling my kids for years.
I need
The reason why I wanted to get into homeschooling originally, let's just start with this. I didn't even know what homeschool was. I didn't even know that there was a such thing. Growing up, we never went to home. We never was homeschooled. You know, as a millennial, we were never really homeschooled. And honestly, I knew nothing about it because if I did, I probably would have been homeschooled myself with everything that was going on. I was pretty much a shy girl in school. And I think that I would have most definitely benefited from being homeschooled. So fast forward, I had my daughter. When I had my daughter, it was time for her to go to school. You know, as a new mom, you're just trying to figure out what to do with your child. Everything was new for me. I'm like, okay, now I have to put her in school. She's about to be 5. Now I have to put her in school. What do I do? And my daughter was very shy. I mean, I think that she was more shy than I was. Like she would, put her fingers in her mouth. She was very quiet. She really didn't talk much. She barely talked much at home. So when she went out in public, she barely spoke. So she was very quiet. And I was just afraid to throw her into an atmosphere, where the kids are, very outgoing and, she has to talk to the teachers. And I knew deep down as her mother and as a parent, I said, she's not going to like this at all. So I did my research. One of the things I did my research. In doing research, I was just trying to find schools that she can go to that maybe they have something. Sorry, y'all, this is my lock. I I had locks. Quick story. I had locks a few years ago, and I decided to keep one, and I did not get rid of it. My husband keeps telling me to get rid of it, but I'm not getting rid of it anyway. So I came across this school, and it said virtual learning, and I said, "Huh? Let me find out they got school online at home." So I called the number. I contacted the school. I saw that there was a virtual online school, and I was living in Pennsylvania at the time. So I saw that there was an online virtual school, and I was like, bet, let's try that. So I gave them a call, and y'all, it was so easy. All they needed was my information, where we lived, the everything that you would need to get your child into a brick and mortar school. But that's what we needed to get my daughter into the school. So this was at the time I homeschooled her through them because I had no idea that I can homeschool her on my own. I had no idea. Oh, backtrack. I was pregnant with my son at the time. And, oh, no, 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 I'm lying. No, wrong kid. Okay. So I contacted the school and they helped me out right away. Before I knew it, my daughter was enrolled in school. She had a teacher and everything. And to my surprise, in Pennsylvania, they give you everything. So I received books for her. I received the laptops. Y'all, I really didn't have to get too much of anything. The only thing that I had to get was the books that she will be using to actually write in. And she didn't even need it that much because most of the time they did work at the laptop. So whenever they had to write something, they would have like a whiteboard and she just had to type and do things within that whiteboard. Sometimes the teacher would say to have them write because they were practice writing and everything. So we would have to literally upload a picture of their writing and send it off to them. And that's how the teachers were able to see that the child were writing, that my daughter was writing good and, basically all their work. They would literally do testing online as well. So anytime she needed to test them. She would have testing online. So that was pretty cool to me. However, you would think that because the teacher is online and your daughter or your son has a teacher, you wouldn't have to do anything. Wrong. You are the learning coach, as if you was in the classroom like a teacher's aide. You are the teacher as well, aka the learning coach. So just like the teacher is involved, you would be involved. You have to sit there and make sure that your child is doing what they need to do. You need to make sure that they are understanding. You play a huge role in your child's education, even in the virtual school. Let me explain that. So, yes, the teachers teach, but the younger ones, my daughter was in kindergarten at the time, they can get distracted. They can start falling asleep. They can start playing with things. They need to be able to pay attention at that laptop and listen to that teacher and whatever assignment she's giving and whiteboard they would need to complete. And you would literally have to sit there and help them. So you are involved just as much as the teacher was involved. Oftentimes, I really did feel like my daughter's teacher. Let me explain. I'm not speaking anything against the schools. I thought the school was great. They gave me everything that I needed. I liked it. I had no idea that there was a such thing as homeschool, so I fell in love with the school. However, I did notice that I did play a huge chunk in my daughter's education. I was literally the one teaching her. So my daughter, kindergarten, they don't really pay attention that well. So it's like you have to redirect them. So I found that when school was over and they logged out, I had to literally sit there and teach my daughter what these letters were. Well, my daughter already knew her alphabet. Let's just make that clear. She knew her alphabet already. I had been teaching her that. But they want them to learn it. They want them to be able to say it really quickly, and they want them to be able to say the letter sounds really quickly. So I found that I had to sit and help my daughter put words together. So basically, I taught my daughter to read, not the school, because when he gives them the homework, it's like after school work, it's like they have online work and then work afterwards. You are the one that has to help them with their coursework after they log off of class. And mind you, these classes can be 4 hours. They get breaks, but these classes can go long. Why? Because they are mimicking brick and mortar schools. So even though you're doing schoolwork online, they still treat it like a brick and mortar school. And that is something that you definitely want to be mindful of. Y'all, let me just tell you, that homework was a lot of work. Literally, it was like an extra 4 hours because our kids are in school for hours and hours a day at a brick and mortar school. So it was a lot. And as I said before, I had to teach my daughter math. I had to teach her reading. I had to come to grips with my daughter is heavily reliant on me for everything, because if it wasn't for me and if I didn't put the time into it, my daughter probably would not be reading at all. She would have never passed her grade because just keep in mind, I played a crucial role in my daughter's education because my daughter was not grasping or understanding because the teacher was online. So that wasn't her learning style. So I literally had to sit there. We sat on the floor. They gave us this huge packet with these letters. They had magnets on it. It was so cool. The school did amazing with the material. So I had to literally teach her how to put these sounds together. And when I tell you that year, my daughter was reading. Not only was she reading small words, she was reading bigger words. She knew math very well. So my daughter did learn, but I had to take a look. I said, she literally learned from me. And they gave all this work to her. So it did require a lot of my time. It was like a full-time job. I was like, bruh. But guess what? This is what I knew. I did what I had to do because I did not want my baby in a brick and mortar school. I said, I'm going to do what I need to do. Just let you know, her sister was, I believe she was 3. No. My other daughter was 4 at the time. So I had 2 children in the house. I had her sister. She was a year younger. She wasn't in school yet, so I had to feed her. I had to make sure that she was okay. She wanted to know what her sister was doing. So guess what I did? I made her learn with her sister. So even though she was not in school yet, to me, it was like a pre-K kind of situation. So I would literally sit them there and have them doing the work together so that when my other daughter was old enough to be in school, she would be ahead of the game. And I'm just saying, I wouldn't have to worry about too much. So fast forward, I had another daughter. So now I have had 3 girls. One of my daughters, no, I had 3 girls. So I was debating, should I put them in school? At this point, I'm like, should I put them in school? I'm not sure of what to do. So I decided to homeschool again. So I homeschooled my other daughter as well through the virtual. So both of them had been doing virtual school. Then I had another daughter, so she was a baby. So mind you, I was home taking care of 3 children. I had 2 in school, virtual school, and this baby running around. So then my life just got really busy, okay? So I said, okay, I can do this. By now, I know what the school expects. I know what to do. So I started working with them. And like I mentioned before, my other daughter was kind of ahead of the game because I used my other daughter's information or material while I was teaching the older one. I was also teaching the middle child. And fast forward to my youngest, guess what I did? I taught her as well. I was buying all kinds of stuff. I bought Your Baby Can Read. So while my daughters were learning online and they were in school, I would put Your Baby Can Read on the TV for my toddler. So she was watching that. She had her little snacks and was watching that while I sat with the other 2, making sure that they were good, making sure that they were okay. So they were doing what they had to do. My oldest one was a little bit more mature at the time, so she was able to do what she had to do. So I found that I was kind of like teaching them at the same time. Like when it was time to do homework, we said, let's sit down and get our other work done. And so I was extremely busy. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot. That was a lot of work. Okay. I think that I was the busiest at that time. Remember, they treat this like brick and mortar school. For hours and hours a day, your child has to be doing the work. They have interactive activities on there, but your child can get bored because remember, they were sitting for like 4 hours at the laptop learning virtual. So now they got to get off of that, take a small break, and go right back to heads in the laptops, learning things. And it was so much work. I got drained. So I go ahead and I enrolled my daughters in school. If y'all hear my dog whining, please just ignore it. Kion, stop it. Sit. Shh. You can't go out there yet, okay? Relax. It's not the end of the world. Okay? Relax. Just stay. It's like that's a whole new topic right there. So anyway, I enroll my children in school. I'm like, I do not want them to go to a public school because that might be kind of like rough on them. So I did enroll them into a private school that was extra money out of our pockets every month. Don't even let me get started on that. But I was the type of mom, I said, I just want the best for my children. So we put them in a private school. This was Catholic school. We put them in a Catholic school. We're like, hey, I just need them to be able to kind of like still get a certain kind of experience or whatever. So we put them in to a private Catholic school, and they were thriving. They went to school. They learned a lot. They learned a lot from other kids. And they learned a lot from the teachers. And I can remember my daughter's teacher coming to me, and she says, her name. She said, I noticed that she's, kind of slower doing the work, And I said, I'm sorry. I failed to tell you that my daughter was previously homeschooled. I homeschooled her. So she really didn't rush to do anything. We just took our time. She said, oh, and she was so understanding. She didn't look down on me. She said, oh, that makes sense. Okay. I said, just give her some time, and I'll speak with her to let her know that she has to kind of like speed up with getting her work done. Because remember, they're on a schedule and they move like that. And my daughter couldn't get the one-on-one attention that she's normally used to getting. So I said, okay, I'm going to have a talk with her and explain to her that this is different. You are timed. You had to get everything done. You're not going to be able to get your teacher's attention like you got mine. So I had to have that conversation with both of them. The following month, the teacher came to me and she said, huge improvement, like huge improvement. My daughters had good grades, because it's not like they didn't know the work, but they had some friends. So they were doing pretty good. In the brick and mortar school. It was expensive, but they were doing good. So y'all, I feel like I have been talking forever. I have to attend to these kids and this dog. Stay tuned for part 2 of my homeschool journey. I have so much more for you. I want to let you know how I decided to go into homeschooling full time with me being a teacher. I started my own school. I got my license. I did everything that I needed to do to be able to homeschool my kids on my own. So stay tuned for part 2 of why I started to homeschool. If you don't remember anything else I told you today, always remember to choose calling over comfort. Sometimes you can get stuck in that comfort zone and you don't want to step out. You may want to homeschool your child, but you're afraid of what the road is going to look like. Take it from me. I dived all in. I didn't even get a chance to think about what it would be like. Remember, if you don't like it, you can always place your child back into school. It's not gonna hurt. If you've been wanting to homeschool your child, but you might be a little afraid because you don't know what to expect, then make sure that you subscribe to my channel, because I am going to be giving you all the details on what to do, what not to do. I'm going to be telling you my experience. I'm not telling you nothing that I don't know. I've done it all, literally. I am here to push you forward. So if that is something that you are considering doing with your child, I am here to help you. If you know that God is calling you and tugging on you to pull your child out of that atmosphere, to pull your child out of that school, be obedient. Don't worry about what's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's not going to hurt your child to pull them out of school, to homeschool them. I'm just saying, always remember to choose calling over comfort. It works every time. See you next time.